Today on Behind the Keynote, Andreas Zauck and Alexander Dubsky, the two environmental engineers, they've set up a shrimp farming facility in the middle of the Swiss city of Winterthur. What it means to develop much of the technology from scratch and where such facilities could also be used right now on Behind the Keynote. Alex Dubsky and Andreas Zauck, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having us here today.
What happened that you came up with the idea to say we have to do some shrimp farming in Switzerland in a country that is not actually close to the ocean, Alex?
Well, I would say it's a little bit difficult because there are just so many different points where we want to solve like the problem. I mean, the shrimp farming international, it's get caused with many environmental problems. Mm-hmm. And not even like that, we have the big distances with the transportation of the frozen shrimp to get here in the country, and of course a lack of freshness.
So there's environmental issues. What are some of the specific environmental issues that we are addressing by shrimp farming here locally in Switzerland?
Well, I mean, at the local farms, and especially like in Asia, I mean, we have like the deforestation of the mangroves, so we can avoid that when we produce the shrimps here in Switzerland. And not even that, we can ensure the absolute quality. So we can supply the market with quality shrimps. They're just raised here. We don't have the transportations anymore. We can even use excess heat, like from other processes, from other industries, to produce them very sustainable, like just here in Switzerland. So there are like many points that go on how we can change it.
So there's also opportunities, sustainability opportunities locally here in Switzerland. So you said like heat, exhaust fumes, et cetera, whatever comes out of factories, the warmth, the heat, we can reduce CO2, et cetera, by doing local shrimp farming here.
Yes, absolutely. That's absolutely possible. I mean, it's just even now we don't use in our technology any medications to produce them. We can try to keep. We have the production under control, so we know exactly how much energy we do use, and without the long transportation distance, we can just save a lot of the other energy what is being used like for bring the shrimps to the local market.
Andreas, if you're saying, as we just heard from Alex, the shrimps that you're farming here, there's no antibiotics, no chemicals, et cetera. Isn't the same thing true for shrimp that come out of the ocean?
Yes, it would be true. Yes, there is no antibiotics in it when it's wild catch. But most shrimps we're eating here are not wild catch. They are from farms. From shrimp farms, where very often antibiotics are used, so you have resistant germs on them, for instance, like you know it probably from chicken meat, and so that's quite a big problem.
So that's not necessarily very healthy. We spoke about sustainability, which is very important. How did you get started in sustainable shrimp farming? What are your backgrounds, and how did you start that whole venture here in Switzerland?
Well, I mean, we're environmental engineers, and I get more focused on agronomy. And I mean, in the agronomical topics, there are so many things that can be solved today. And I mean, we have definitely for the near future, we have some issues that we have to solve, especially when it comes to protein production for human consumption, but even like for animal consumption. So it started more like to see, because shrimps, they're well known and we can get like shrimps everywhere here on the market. When we have like discussions about meat production and somebody is telling us he will buy a meat like that's produced abroad, so we point the finger on him. But everybody is eating shrimps here in Switzerland and nobody discusses about the long traveling distance of that product.
So there is no awareness or not enough awareness amongst consumers not just in Switzerland, I presume all over continental Europe, if not globally.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just the people there has been like some awareness about the antibiotic residues in that product, but even like about when it comes to the deforestation of the mangroves. But there is no alternative. And we want to bring the alternative here to the market, and even like with a higher quality. And even we bring an opportunity to the European farmers and European society that they can join like to that production, like to the new industry.
Now, Andreas, you have this new shrimp farm right now in Winterthur that is already producing shrimp. Shrimp have been farmed there and shrimp have been harvested there, but that's not how you actually started. You started with a pilot shrimp farming plant, and I just want to take that step back in time together with you. What was that like? Where was that? And what did that look like if you set up such a pilot shrimp farming plant?
Yeah, that's like really a startup cliche, I would call it. We had the problem, Alex had the idea in the beginning to farm shrimps in Switzerland. And we knew theoretically how that works, but we never knew if we were really capable of doing so. So we had to do a proof of concept in practice. So what we did, we rented in a former bakery, industrial bakery, a basement, which is the most unuseful room to have an aquaculture in it. 70 years building, cold basement, wet, etc.
But you could call it the most challenging circumstances, and if it works there, your proof of concept, then chances are that you might be able to get things to work elsewhere.
True. We always said if we can do it under these circumstances, we can do it everywhere, because we had no financial budget. We had to pay everything out of pocket, so it had to be as kiss as possible. It has to be as cheap as possible. And in the end, we needed to see whether what quality that shrimp is that comes out of it, to test it in the end.
So everything was built from scratch based on your own plans, low budget. So you guys driving off with a little van and buying some wood and materials.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Sounds challenging, but ultimately it worked and you harvested the first few shrimp. Do you remember that moment when you had the first shrimp that you had produced on your own on that pilot shrimp farming plant?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we were remembering that it was, we were quite curious about if even we are able to produce the shrimps, and in the end we could harvest some shrimps, and when it came to the tasting, we were just friends and families together. We tried the first shrimp and we were quite impressed about the taste, because probably that was the first time I tasted actually really a fresh shrimp. And in the other hand, the taste was extremely good. The quality of the meat is just like really not that gummy and chewy. It has a nice texture. It has even like a sweet taste, a nutty taste. And there were all different tastes I never experienced it before in the product what we are buying here on the market. So
you sound thrilled when you tasted that first shrimp. So did family and friends. But what about the market? How do you know if that shrimp is actually going to work on the market and how it compares to other shrimp, Andreas?
Yeah, that was a big question in the beginning. So farming shrimp is one point. Then you have a shrimp in the end, but how will it perform on the market? And so what we did was we addressed just the top gastronomes we could find in Switzerland. Straightforward, hi, we're farming shrimp. Would you like to try our shrimps? Some said no, some said yes.
You ring up a Michelin-starred chef and you go, here's the product we want you to try, give us some feedback.
Yes, exactly. And from gastronomes, from chefs, you get the most honest feedback actually, because they tell you straight in your face if it's gummy, if taste is bad, if the shell is too soft, whatsoever. And we were actually very surprised about the feedbacks, because they always said it's too expensive, but the taste, the texture is exceptional good.
They said it's too expensive. Has that changed? Is that changing with the Winterthur shrimp farm?
Yes, it will, definitely. That's one of one of the biggest goals, actually. We want to improve the technology, make it possible to produce the shrimps in the future in Europe, actually. And it goes also with the price, because we want to put like a sustainable product on the market. And that means like it should be affordable for the most of the people here.
Right, so it must have even competitive pricing, so that the quality is better, that it's healthier, more sustainable, is all good, but it must compete with the tons. How many tons of shrimp are imported?
Absolutely. Like Switzerland, it's a small market compared to Europe, but we import at least like 9,000 tons every year. And Europe is around like 950,000 tons. And all of these shrimps, they're produced like abroad. Abroad like in South America and in Asia.
Andreas, to wrap up, next steps. Once Winterthur is working, every single shrimp is sold, every Michelin-starred chef around Switzerland is happy. What are the next steps? Is it building another plant that is even bigger?
No, we will never construct very huge plants. Our goal is to have plants at hotspots. Hotspots means like close to bigger cities, for instance, Geneva in Switzerland, Bern, or now in Winterthur, it's Zurich. So we want to have smaller plants supplying these regions. So we have always a regional product that you can deliver to this regional market. But our plan is as well not just to stay in Switzerland, but also all over Europe or maybe all over the world.
So just to make sure I fully understand what you're saying, so it's about modular plants, smaller plants that are actually set up and that are implemented where the shrimps are also consumed later.
Exactly. Exactly.
What kind of facilities are we looking at? Are we looking at large sites where these modular farms can be built?
No, absolutely not. It can be our modular farm can actually have any size. You can put it in your garage at home if you want. If that is rentable is another question, and you can blow it up to an industrial size if that is necessary and makes sense. But for instance, you could put it beside a brewery where you have waste heat, or a server center where you have waste heat that you can use to heat your tanks, or where you have some land available where you can use it, where you have synergies with other productions.
Which also reduces transport in that.
Absolutely. I had to point out that even like for farmers, like especially like pig or chicken farmers, that could be a good opportunity for their business because they have already the space, they have already the buildings, they are almost shaped like in the size of these tanks what we are producing. So that could be a good alternative for them.
Alex and Andreas, there's such a lot that we can all take with us from just talking to you and learning more about shrimp farming. So conclusions here. We can farm shrimp right here in the middle of Europe, and we can do so in a sustainable way. And all of that can also be done in a modular way throughout Europe, as Alex just mentioned, on existing farms, close to hotels, or using waste heat from IT data centers. The possibilities are simply endless. And at the same time, we are protecting our seas, and especially the mangroves, which are nurseries for fish and marine life in the world's oceans. Thank you so much, Alex Dubsky and Andreas Zauch.
Thank you
for joining me today,
and
and thank you for watching Behind the Keynote. See you next time.